the mount. We're going to smack him in the mount.
Nielsen rolling to his right. Trying to outrun Olympus defenders. He throws it. It's picked off. Nash Taylor is going to pick it off. And off to Siegel. He's back, baby, and he's got room to work. And he's going to go 30, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, Sam Siegel. Hands off to Hodgson. Hodgson's got room to work. And he's going to drag a tackler into the end zone. Touchdown, Isaac Hodgson. Roll out to his right. Got a man. Renard brings it in. He's got first down yardage. They throw a bubble screen. That's Chase Mosley. He throws it out deep for Sam Green, and he's pulled it in. They hand off. Siegel is going to walk in for 6. Hello and welcome to the Olympus Pregame show on OlyTV. I'm Mark Schwartz.
And I'm Jackson Bodley.
We'll be your analyst this evening. We have a great game tonight as Olympus takes on East. But first, let's talk about last game. Olympus took down Brighton 35-28 last week despite an hour-long lightning delay. The main storyline was Jack Johnson throwing 5 interceptions and Olympus scoring 22 unmatched points in the second quarter. Why do you think Olympus was able to take advantage of those 5 interceptions?
Well, I think what happened with, first I'm going to start about Jack Johnson. He looked really good on the first drive for Brighton when they drove down and scored that touchdown. But I think in the rain delay, he started second-guessing stuff. He got in his own head, I think. During that hour rain delay, all he could think about was the big game ahead. Well, if he's going to mess up, what's going to happen? And he got nervous, and I think during that rain delay, it didn't help him, and took him out of his rhythm. And after he got that first interception, it all just started piling on top of each other, and he got less and less confident in himself. I think that's the main reason he threw those 5 interceptions right there.
Yeah, I mean, he had a good game, over 300 yards passing and 3 TDs, but then those 5 interceptions is what loses you the game. An incredible win for the Titans, though, and it's helped them jump into the top 4 in the RPI. Coach Whitehead said after the game, "We had our backs against the wall. We came out and were making a lot of mistakes. Brighton goes up 7-0, and we have that lightning delay. We were able to regroup and use that delay to our advantage. We regrouped offensively and just started running our basic stuff." So, Jack, what is this basic stuff he's talking about?
Well, I think when you're down in a game and you're making mistakes, that rain delay really helped him because he had a lot of time to talk to his players, calm them down, and let them go over their assignments one more time. And when you run the basic stuff, it's basic, so it's more simple. And if you're able to execute it perfectly, it's still going to work. And so they took away from the more complex stuff and just went to the basic, and it worked. They were able to execute, blocked well. They knew their assignments. And I think simpling their offense, making it more simple, and their defense too, it really helped them.
Yeah, I noticed after the rain delay, they went away from the spread and went more wing T with Renard and Siegel. Talking about Renard and Siegel, they were incredible. Both had over 90 yards rushing against Brighton and 2 touchdowns. And they're the 2 best players on this Olympus team. They're going to carry this team. If they don't play well, Olympus is going to have a really hard time scoring or getting any offensive production. Now let's go on to this week's game. Olympus is 4-1. They're 2-0 in region play. They're 4th in the RPI, which is incredible. Great start for the Titans. RPI came out earlier this week. They're number 11 in the Deseret News rankings. And, like we talked about, they're carried by the dynamic duo of Siegel and Renard in the backfield. Also, against Brighton, penalties were not as big of a storyline. Against Kearns and Murray, Olympus have had some trouble with penalties. Had only 46 yards of penalties against Brighton compared to the 77 they had against Murray.
I think the more simple offense helps with that because on the more complex, you're doing more, and so a lot of times you may hold on to your defender more, trying to figure out your job, and you're doing more complex stuff with the simple offense. Your job's easy. All you have to worry about is doing that and doing it right, and so I think that helped them with the penalties too.
East, the Leopards are 0-4 and 0-1 in region. They're number 28 out of 32 in the 5A RPI. But 0-4 is a little misleading. Let's look at their schedule. 2 of those losses came to state powerhouses, Corner Canyon and Orem. They played Orem close. It was 27-14, so
They didn't get absolutely blown out by Orem. And then a 1-point loss to Park City, who's a good team, and a 19-point loss to Juan Diego Catholic, the best team in 3A. But that is their worst loss so far. That loss to Juan Diego is really bad. Orem East as a 5A team should be able to defeat Juan Diego, even if they are the best team in 3A. Their strength of schedule on Max Preps is 32.2. That's third in 5A behind Woods Cross and Timpview. Do you think playing tougher teams gives East an edge over Olympus because they've played in bigger games?
I think it will help them a little bit, in the long run when they get into the playoffs, because they've played good teams. They know what it takes. And I think part of the problem with East is why they lost those games. It's because they're a very run-heavy offense, and when they fall behind early, it's really hard to slowly, because their run offense is slow, and you slowly build up points and slowly drive down the field. And if you fall behind, you try to push the pace more, you get more nervous, and it's a lot harder to come back when you're a run-heavy offense as opposed to a pass-heavy, because that's more explosive offense.
Yeah. Speaking of that run-heavy offense, their primary back, Amani Amone, is incredible. He's averaging 107.3 yards a game, 6 yards per carry, and he has 4 touchdowns on the years through the first 3 games. He is the heart and soul of this offense. If he can get going, it's going to be really hard for Olympus to slow him down. Other players of note for East is 3-star defensive tackle Ben Roberts, who is committed to Oregon. So, that's college-level talent on this East team that Olympus is going to have to compete with. Some storylines we can talk about is, going back to Amini Amone, Olympus has had some trouble with big, explosive backs. We saw against Mountain Ridge, they had a really hard job containing Olave, and against
Murray,
Lance Whiteman. What do the Titans need to do to stop Amone?
I just feel like he's going to get his yards. We've seen that. And so as long as you can limit him and not let him get those explosive plays, you can let him get those 5 yards a carry. And so you can slowly let him drive down the field. But once you get into the red zone, that's when you have to tighten up and not let him get into the end zone. But I think with Olympus, their offense should be able to outscore East offense because they have more diversity. You're not sure what Olympus is going to bring. And I think they're going to be able to outscore them as long as they're able to play good defense when they get into that red zone. Okay.
Yeah, I think the difference between East and Olympus is East has no passing game whatsoever. Olympus can go to that spread and even use the backs, Siegel and Renard, in the passing game effectively.
I think the spread helps get their backs and their receivers because Olympus, what their backs are best at is in the open space, using their speed to their advantage to make people miss, and the spread offense does that perfectly. Whenever they catch it, they usually have a few yards in between them and the defender to try and make a move. I think that's a great offense, passing offense for them.
Another storyline for this game is injuries. Olympus suffered a lot of key injuries going into and during the Brighton game. Some of them include captain James Smith at safety and leading tackler, outside linebacker Mikey Gustafson, and one of their best wide receivers, Charlie Sherwood. We'll see if any of them play against East. Those are 3 big names that have been a big part of this team, especially James Smith and Mikey Gustafson. Sherwood, though, has been a big weapon in that spread offense we've talked about. So let's go to our keys to the game, and then we'll go to the film room with Jack. So for Olympus, they've got to come to play. This is a trap game for the Titans. You're coming off a big win against Brighton. You're going up against a 0-4 East team. This should be easy money. But East is better than their record. They're a good team. They've played a lot of tough games and a lot of close games, especially against Park City. And so Olympus has got to bring the same energy they brought against Brighton. They can't just come out and this is not going to be like the Murray game. Against Murray, they kind of just coasted through the first half and then came out in the second. No, Olympus needs to come out in the first half and put it down on the Leopards. So for East, what do you think the key to the game is for the Leopards?
I think their defense has to keep it close in that first half. I think they got to be able to they can't fall behind in this game. When they fall behind, their offense gets all out of rhythm, and it's a lot harder to push the pace and get some yards. And it really it's hard for East, especially, to play behind in a game. So they got to come out prepared, very prepared early in the game. They got to take the lead and stay close with Olympus. And then maybe their running back was able to break a long run. So I think it really starts with their defense here, because we know their running back's going to get yards.
Okay, so now we'll go to the film room with Jack.
I'm Jackson Bodley, and here I'm going to go over a little bit of film. Last week, for the Brighton pregame, I broke down Olympus's offense. If you want to watch that, you can just go watch Brighton pregame on OlyTV on YouTube. But here, I think I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've seen them do in each game a little bit. Olympus, they do a designed rollout often, and what their designed rollout is, usually the quarterback, when he gets it, he immediately takes off to one side, and the linemen, it really helps because the linemen know who to block, and they just all block at one direction. And so it's a lot easier on the linemen. They don't have to worry about creating a pocket. And it's a lot easier for the quarterback, so he has space to throw. And what they do with their receivers is they all fade to one side where that quarterback's running. They all run like a slant route. And you'll notice all the receivers, they run to this side, the side the quarterback's rolling out to. And so Olympus, they've used this a lot to get them into open space to help their line out. And I really like how they've been doing this throughout the year. Sometimes, though, there's that time when they're doing a normal play, normal pass out of the shotgun, and the defensive line is able to get through, and the quarterback has to roll out when it's non-designed. And here you can see the difference. It's a lot harder for the line to block and make a pocket, and when the quarterback escapes, the wide receivers are able to notice that, and they sort of come over to this side. But it's really hard for the quarterback to plant his feet and get a good throw off because the defensive line's right next to him. And we see here he actually misses the throw. And so it's a lot harder for the non-design as opposed to the design rollout. Sometimes it can work, but usually we're not going to see him we're just going to see him running a designed rollout, and that's really the only time. But we sometimes see him doing it here, and it's not really helpful because the timing's off between him and the receivers, and they miss passes like here.
Thank you, Jack. Now let's talk about bold predictions. What is one bold prediction you have for the game?
I think Olympus, they're not going to be quite ready. They're going to overlook them a little bit in the first half and find themselves down 7 to 10 points, and then come back and win it in the end. They're going to tighten up their defense, maybe pack the box a little bit more to stop that run game. Then they're going to attack more with the spread, maybe the wing tee, and they're going to win by, I think, 10 points in the second half. I think they're going to really turn it on then.
All right. My bold prediction, I think Ryan Renard will have a big day. I think he's going to score 3 touchdowns. All right. Our player of the game selection, who you going with?
I'm going to go with Sam Siegel. I think he's going to be able to I think they're going to be more prepared for Ryan Renard because they've both proven themselves. I think they're going to be a little bit more worried about him, and so they're going to use Siegel a little bit more, and I think Siegel's going to have a big game.
I think I'm going to pick middle linebacker Sam Bodley. With Mikey Gustafson out, he's got to really step up and assert himself. He's a captain. He's played really well all year. And I think, especially with this run-heavy offense, he's going to get a lot of opportunities to make plays. Okay. To finish up, our final score predictions. What are you going with, Jack?
Well, I don't know. I got to go with 24-14, Olympus.
I think Olympus is going to come out a little slow, but I don't think East will be able to score on Olympus' defense. So I think I'm going to say 10-28 Olympus. All right. Well, if you enjoyed this pregame show, make sure to drop a like or comment and subscribe to OlyTV.